Hello, everyone, and welcome back to all the participants. So, as you are aware, participants, we are building the CI/CD pipelines into the AWS cloud, where you have seen previously the presence of various stages into this CI/CD pipeline and the various tools under each category for each stage, where it all starts with GitHub hosting your repository, inside which we will put our code, or the developer is going to commit the code continuously to that. From there, the pipeline takes trigger and developer make the changes into the version control. It starts to pull the code. Maven starts to build the code. An artifact is generated, and we deploy that artifact into AWS S3 bucket. From there, we expect Jenkins to do a file upload into var artifact. We expect Packer to go ahead and build the artifact. We expect Terraform to go ahead and build the resources. So Packer is expected to build images. Built images will bundle everything, and Terraform will take that image and start provisioning instances into the AWS cloud. Infrastructure automation. So currently, we are at the stage, participants, where we are letting the installation into these instances. Just a quick recap of what we have done in the previous session. So we did provision a couple of resources, an instance, and currently the state of the instance is in stop state to avoid the billing. And now I'm going to start this back. Instance state equal to start instance. So this was the instance which previously was launched to accommodate all the tools which are required for us to build the pipeline, CI/CD pipelines. Into these CI/CD pipelines, using these tools, we will start releasing the project or the code. So right now, the status of the instance is running. Now it is running. Let's connect back to this instance. Connecting to the instance can be done from various ways. You can use EC2 instance connect by just connecting, or you can type in SSH client. Yeah. So now I'm going to use this command and navigate to the location where my key pair is. My key pair is on my desktop. Okay. Now I'm into the machine. So let's take the admin privileges. Okay. Thereafter, hit CD. Couple of updates are available. It's good that you keep your machine updated. Okay. With that, participants, now I'm into the instance. Right. So just to go ahead and do a quick check, the checks that are important for us are checking Git, Maven, next Java, thereafter we were looking for Jenkins. So Jenkins is already running on this machine. Right. So participants, till Jenkins, we have set up much of the things into the instance. Now let's proceed further. If you proceed further, we need AWS CLI. What is the purpose of AWS CLI? Can anyone spot why do we need AWS CLI here? Here, or why we need a CLI?
To upload the work package to the S3 bucket using command.
Very good. So we want the artifacts that are generated because of the project Maven. So we will be getting artifacts like var packages. These var packages needs an artifact storage. Right now, the artifact storage is S3. So Jenkins will run the AWS CLI command that will go ahead and copy the artifact from the master DevOps instance into S3 bucket. So we need AWS CLI do file upload for our var packages into S3. Everyone, are we now clear? What is the importance of AWS CLI? Participants, are we clear? And even Terraform and Packer will also utilize AWS CLI. Okay, now let's first continue the installation. So I want to go ahead and install AWS CLI. I'll type in just install AWS CLI. And you can go ahead and hit the installation of AWS CLI. And you are on the page for the installation of AWS CLI. I'm going to choose Linux because I'm on Ubuntu instance and I find the commands for the installation. Also start documenting them. Now it's time for AWS CLI installation. This is for curling. This is to unzip. And this is for installing it. Download the zip file. You'll find AWS CLI. You are unzipping this zip file. Let's say unzip is not found. So install unzip. Unzip document. Unzip AWS CLI. And then complete your running for AWS CLI install. Cool. Now AWS CLI is working. Participants, once the AWS CLI installation is done, next we will go ahead and start confirming the working of AWS CLI. AWS CLI, did you get installed on this machine? Yes, AWS CLI is working. Now I want to go ahead and check what can I do with AWS CLI now. For example, AWS CLI, we can create an S3 bucket. So let's check, can we create an S3 bucket? So this simple command for creating an S3 bucket goes like this: AWS S3, because you have to first type AWS followed by the service that you want to do. Or before anything, let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and list the buckets at least. AWS S3 LS. That means AWS for S3 buckets, can you list my buckets? Now I'm getting an error saying that unable to locate credentials. You can configure your credentials by running AWS configure. So let me just go ahead and type in AWS configure. So AWS configure, if I hit, I have written AWS as per the recommendation. It says, hey, you don't have an access key ID. You are not having an access secret access key. Okay. After that, you don't have a default region. Okay. After that, you don't have a default output. Now, because of these credentials, it is not able to get to the account. So participants, credentials that you are able to relate. Participants, what are these credentials? Why do we need these credentials? Think for a minute. Why these credentials are required? Why AWS CLI is asking credentials? My question is, participants, what are these credentials? What are these credentials for?
Create S3 bucket in a specific account.
Very good. Participants, we have installed AWS CLI. Now the question comes is, which account is it? Is that yours account or my account? It doesn't know. So it will be able to get to know only with these keys if you supply. If you go ahead and supply these keys, it will be able to get to know. Right, participants? If you are giving these keys, it will go ahead and connect to those keys where these keys are available. Let's say if your keys is available in your account, it will go ahead and connect in your account. It will create this entire project in your account. If I supply my keys, it will go ahead and create resources in my account. That is why we need the keys. Participants, have you seen similar logic somewhere, anywhere? Participants, have you seen?
Sure.
Correct. In Azure, there was a concept called service principles. So service principle used your client secret, client secret, application ID, tenant ID, subscription ID. So similar to that, you get to see in AWS configure. Okay. Now, participants, what should we do is now to go ahead and get those credentials. I need credentials now. What kind of credentials? Access key and secret access key. So participants, it is helping me to navigate to IAM. So IAM will be the place where you can find those credentials. Now I'll let you know, people, how to go ahead and create IAM credentials. So just go to the section called users. So go ahead and create a user with whatever the name you want. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep the user called say my admin or DevOps user, for example, DevOps-user. So this user is going to be the user that's going to go ahead and start provisioning the resources. I'm going to go ahead and give the credentials. Why? Because here you can see access key and secret access key for this DevOps user. Password is not required because DevOps user is not going to go ahead and log into account using a password. So it will ask you to set the permissions. You go ahead and currently set the permissions as administrator access. Okay. Review the user and create this user. This user will get those credentials. Better, you go ahead and keep these credentials with you. And the moment you open, the credentials will look something like this. Now we have a user whose name is DevOps user, and there is an access key ID. Now let me enter the access key. Participants, you need to be a little careful while copying these credentials. Don't copy the cell. Don't copy the cell, something like this. Copy the value inside the cell. A lot of time people make a lot of mistakes while copying. Just copy the value. And then participants, it will ask you to go ahead and use the default region name. So we'll go ahead and keep the default region as I already mentioned, Ohio. The moment you put Ohio, it will tell you the region US East-2. US East-2. And format, if you don't know any format, just use one single format, which is JSON format. It means all the outputs will come in the form of JSON. It's okay. You can put any other format. For now, JSON is okay. Very simple format. And I'm going to clear my screen. And I'm going to go ahead and test now. AWS S3, can you list my buckets? Now, because of these keys, it should get admin privileges. My AWS CLI should get admin privileges, and then it should start listing the buckets. See that, people? Now it started to recognize my keys. Keys have been recognized properly, and I'm able to list the buckets. Is that okay, participants? Now the system is working. Participants, do you see now? The system is working.
Yes, Kumar.
Okay, now you can run CLI commands on your behalf to do anything that you want because you have now credentials with you, and credentials have admin privileges. Now, what I will do, I'll continue. First thing, I'll close this, but keep a copy of credentials with you, people. It's very, very important. Oh, I will also put the steps for you. So AWS CLI installation. Next, after that, AWS -version. You can just check. It will ask you to go and configure your AWS CLI. So AWS configure is that. Here, note, navigate AWS IAM console, create a DevOps-user and assign administrator access, and then generate AWS access key and AWS access secret key. And region, you may go ahead and use US East-2 and default output can be JSON. Just put it as JSON. Okay, are we good, participants? From there, you can run a simple command to test whether your S3 AWS CLI is working with regards to listing your buckets. It will go ahead and list your buckets. Are we done, participants? Are we good? Can I proceed further?
Yes, Kumar.
Okay, now let's continue further, participants. So further installations will need Packer and Terraform. Participants, I feel these installations are very much required. We will definitely do that. But at a time when you go ahead and need them, we will install at that time. So what I meant is, instead of spending time on Packer and Terraform installations, these are hardly a simple task. It takes hardly a minute for me to install Packer and Terraform. Instead of doing the time investing on this Packer and Terraform, let's keep them a little aside. Let's focus on the first part of our project implementation, where we expect the code to be pulled from the Jenkins. Via Jenkins, we will pull the code from Git, we will build and test it, and then we do a file upload into S3 bucket. This task we will complete in the next part of the session. Shall we go ahead and set up this pipeline, people? This part of the pipeline? Is that okay? Shall we go ahead and get started, everyone? Then once we are done, at the time when we need, what do you call it as when we need time, when we complete this setup, we will go ahead and start looking at the installation of Packer and Terraform to take these steps further. Is that okay? Fine. So participants, let's continue. Let's continue with the actual task. So now what I will do, I'll navigate to Jenkins and I'll ask Jenkins, if you are ready, let me go ahead and start building the project by pulling the code from GitHub repo and generating the artifact. So let's start with the first job, create a job. So it's our job number 1. You can say Maven build that we are doing. Let's say the first job, which is the build job using Maven we are doing. Okay. And let me just go ahead and confirm the freestyle job. Okay, now there's a little insights about this. So what is the description? This job is expected to do the following. 1, pull the code from GitHub, build. After the pulling of the code, it will go ahead and build the code using Maven. We are expecting to pull the code, build the code using, generate artifacts, which are expected to be var packages. These are the jobs, or these are the actions and the tasks that I'm expecting that the job should be doing for me. So what I'll do, participants, is that I'll go a little further and I'll look at the source code. And I have this option called Git. You all know that, a repository for this URL. So where is our source code, participants? Where did I put my code? Where did I put my code?
GitHub.
GitHub.
Yeah, agent.
.com/azonecloud. You can see there are a couple of projects. It's a beta project that we are working on. And you can see on the master node or the master branch, none. There are no piece of code. It's actually on the develop branch you will find it. So let's go ahead and choose this code reference, the URL where the code is available. So it recognizes the Git. See that it has recognized the Git URL. Next, after you scroll down, credentials are not required because this is a public repo. Credentials are not required. Next, what are the branches should it consider? Should it consider master branch? The answer is no. It should go ahead and consider the develop branch. Why? Because the code is available in the develop branch. Thereafter, what trigger will make this build to start? At this moment, let's start whenever we need it. Right now, I don't have anything to trigger. If I need build, I will start the build. If not, I will not start the build. Next, any build environment? As of now, nothing. Next, what are the steps that gets involved while building your project? What are the steps should I use, participants? What am I supposed to use?
Execute.
Maven targets, right? What I want the Maven to clean the previous package and then get a new package. Maven clean and get me the new package. Anything after the post build? At this moment, let's first complete the task of building and then see what we can do with that. So I'm going to apply the changes and then I'm going to save those changes. So now the project build is ready. Now, as I mentioned, I would like to keep the build under my control. So now the build is available for me. So what I'll do, I'll start the build now. The build now will go ahead and start your build. Now the build has started. There's an output that is available for you on your left-hand side, console output. And there is a full length output that is available. And finally, participants, I'm able to go ahead and see the project has been successfully built. Cool. Can I have a quick round of confirmation from every one of you? So what are the expected, what were the expectations from this artifact? What were the expectations? These were the expectations from our Jenkins build. So let me show you one by one. Go to output. It has to pull the code. What it has to do, it has to pull the code from the GitHub. So let me show you where did it pull the code. I need a full log. Yeah. So it started to pull the code from here. See, get has fetched the repo. This is a place where it started to pull the code. Okay. After that, it has to build the code. Next step, see, Maven clean and package. It has built the code. It has to generate the artifact. At the last of the build, you will get the artifact generated. What is the artifact? I'm expecting var package. Did you get a var package here, participants? Hello? Participants, did you get a var package with you? Everyone? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
So what I wanted from Jenkins job, step 1, pull the code. It did pull the code. Step 2, build the code. It did build the code. Step 3, it has built the artifact. It has built the artifact. What is the artifact that we have received? Var packages. Is that clear to all of you, participants? Participants, are we good at this moment?
Yes.
So now participants, tell me, where is this artifact? Now the placement of the artifact is more important. Where is this artifact?
It's in the warlib Jenkins.
It is mentioned that it is in var file lib in Jenkins. It is available. Workspace, build, target, my app. So let's navigate to this location inside our EC2 instance of Jenkins, the Jenkins EC2 instance. CD, I'm typing CD. It's not, the command is not opening. I think I did not use this session for more than 1 minute. Then the connection got dropped. I'm reconnecting to my machine one more time. I'm on my desktop. This is the easiest way to reach to your desktop and run this command. The command will take you into the instance. Now I'm inside the instance. Take the admin privileges. Now let's navigate to the location where Jenkins is telling you that I kept that artifact for you. It said go to var lib Jenkins workspace one build -maven target folder. CD/var lib libraries Jenkins workspace and do an ls. You will find only one job, which is the build job. So what I'll do, I'll navigate to that one build and I do an ls. You'll get to see the target folder. You get to see the target folder. Let's navigate to target. Do an ls. Now I can clearly see there is an artifact running with my app.var package. My app.var package is running. Am I clear with this my app.var package, everyone? Hello, participants, are we good?
Yeah.
My app.var package is created. Participants, everyone, are we good with regards to my app.var package? Now, the problem is this my app.var package is on an EC2 instance. EC2 instance is a server. It's only for compute. Compute in the sense you run a job and your job is done. That's it. But it is not recommended for any kind of storage because it's something. If you go ahead and terminate this Jenkins instance, your packages are gone. So it's not recommended to store on Jenkins because Jenkins, all these things are apps. They're not recommended for storage. We need our data to be stored either as a part of a database or a storage. Storage is a very recommended subject here or a solution here. So now I have to go ahead and store this artifact myapp.var package into S3 bucket. That is my point. Now we should start storing this myapp.var package into S3 bucket. So participants, can you help me? How can I go ahead and move this file into S3 bucket? How can I move this file into S3 bucket? Any suggestions from your end? Participants, do you have any suggestions for me? How to move this file into S3 bucket?
refer the URL that Jenkins URL to.
Because see, if I go ahead and use Jenkins, or if I go ahead and use the bucket, if I go ahead and open the bucket in AWS S3, I pick one of a bucket. I hope you guys can create buckets by now. So let's keep one bucket for our storage. Yesterday I did create a bucket called Kumar DevOps bucket. Into this bucket, we will store our artifact. But the problem is, if I click upload, it will take my desktop. Participants, it is expecting file to be uploaded from desktop. Participants, do we have the file coming from desktop? No, it is coming from instance. EC2 instance. It is from EC2 instance we have. EC2 instance is sitting in Ohio. I am based out of India, Bangalore. So how should I go ahead and do the file upload, participants? The question is this. This file is somewhere in Ohio. If I expect to do a file upload also, that file upload is expected from my location, because it's expecting from my local system. Okay? If I do a file upload in S3 bucket also, add a file, it is asking me to do a file upload from my local machine. I don't have the artifact in my local machine. I have that artifact sitting somewhere in EC2 instance in Ohio region. How should I go ahead and do this, participants? Participants, any suggestions from your side? Any suggestions from your side?
Recommended.
Yeah, please suggest me. Participants, any suggestions that I can consider in doing this file upload into S3 bucket?
Using AWS command. CLI.
Right. So participants, we should be using AWS CLI. So we'll go ahead and ask AWS CLI. AWS CLI for copying files from, or copying files. We'll go ahead and this will go ahead and give a clear picture. So we have an S3 command. And if you look at the S3 command, copies a local file or S3 to another location locally or in S3. Yes, we are looking for a local file into S3. So let's look some examples or some syntax that should help us. So what is this doing? Copying a local file to S3. Exactly what I'm looking for. Copying a local file. No, copying a file which is from an EC2 instance to S3. Yes, this will be sufficient for me. So what is the command syntax? This is the command syntax. So now let's go ahead and put the command. AWS S3 copy the file that you want. Example, test.txt file to S3 bucket, the name of the bucket, followed by the name of the file that you want to give. So participants, first we should know where is the file. Participants, where is our file? Where is our file? The file is sitting here. This is the file that we want to copy. So we should say first cd to this location, or if it is confusing, then you have to go ahead and type AWS S3 copy the full length file from here to which S3 bucket, S3 : / the name of the bucket that you have. The name of the bucket is this bucket, followed by the name of the file. The name of the file will continue this myapp.var. Now my command is ready, participants. AWS S3 copy file, which is myapp.var package, into S3 bucket, the name of the file. Same syntax is used here. Same syntax is used. Okay. Let's go ahead and run this command, participants. Let's run this command first here inside the machine, whether it can do a copy for us. And then we will go ahead and use Jenkins. I think connection is dropped one more time. I would like to go ahead and first connect to that instance. Connection did drop, so I'm reconnecting to that instance one more time. Right, I am into this instance now. First, take the admin privileges, hit your root folder, clearing my screen. Now I want to check whether this file can be uploaded via this AWS CLI command. Copy, and I'm going to ask AWS, with your credentials, access key and secret key, can you go ahead and do a file upload with regards to my app into S3 bucket? Cool, guys. It is working. It did upload. Now, how to go ahead and check and confirm? What should I do now to check? Go to S3. Go to your bucket. You can check at 718, 719. So just roughly about a couple of seconds ago, or just a minute ago, it did upload the file, myapp.var package. That means command is working. Everyone, are we good? Participants, are we good now? So now, participants, instead of running this command manually, I will automate it via Jenkins job, asking Jenkins to do the file upload. So now the next step, that Jenkins, if you are ready, can you go ahead and do a var upload to S3? That's my job number 2. First job is done. Job number 2, var upload to S3. My freestyle job, this job is expected to do the following. First, navigate to this location. First, it has to navigate to this location. Copy the artifact, that is myapp.var package to AWS S3 bucket, and the command is going to do, and this is a command that is expected to do. AWS S3 copy the command. So participants, if you start to go ahead and continue further in terms of the source code, there is no source code involved. It's just one command is required. So just come to the command execution, execute the shell command. I'm asking you to execute the simple shell command. That's all, nothing more than this. Just execute the simple shell command, because there is nothing more than this. Neither a source code. Now, participants, what is my plan is I don't want to go ahead and once again build this job again and again, again and again. Why? Every time there is a new package, new file has to be uploaded. If I do this manually, it's a headache for me. So instead of doing manually, what I do, I give an instruction that when the first job is completed, when you complete your first job, it is expected to get the artifact right. Then only do a file upload. So our first job is built. Because of the first job, you will get the var package. If var package is available, then only do a file upload. Now it's a pipeline, participants. Pipelining involving 2 stages. Stage 1, build. Stage 2, upload. So apply and save it. Now let's go back to the architecture to get related with the implementation. Participants, Jenkins is having now 2 jobs. Job 1 is to pull the code, build the code with the artifact. This is your job 1. From this part of the line to this part of the line, it's your job 1, first job. Is this job clear, everyone? Artifact to build, is this clear? The first job? Participants, are we good? After this build is done, after the setup is done, I have requested Jenkins that Jenkins, if this artifact is available, after the artifact is successfully built, then trigger the job number 2 to upload to S3. Upload this artifact into S3. This is your job number 2. Via AWS CLI commands, we will go ahead and do a file upload into S3. Are we good, everyone? Hello? Participants, are we good? Shall we go ahead and achieve this now? Shall we go ahead and complete this? Now, what I will do, I'll just go ahead and say, Jenkins, if you are ready with the build 1, after your build 1 is complete, start the build 2. So let's go to build 1 and trigger the build now. So participants, note the time. It's roughly about 7:24. So build 1 is completed. Next, job 2, it failed the job. It is saying, Kumar, I'm unable to locate your credentials. Participants, why do you think it is unable to locate the credentials? Why is that it is unable to locate the credentials?
I think we need to provide S3 buckets credentials or AWS credentials.
If that is the question or that is the answer, didn't I go ahead and provide the credentials here in the system? AWS access key and secret access. Did I not provision it?
Yes, maybe.
Come on, guys. Participants, I have already provided the credentials. You want a double confirmation? Let me show you one more thing, the credentials. AWS configure. See, it is with access key ID. It is with secret access key. It's with username, region. It's working.
Yes.
It's not working, guys. It's credentials are not working. Think for a moment. Think for a moment. This is very interesting part of our deployment. Very, very interesting. Why is that when the machine is already with the credentials? Why is this guy saying, I don't have credentials? Unable to locate the credentials. Same output we got. Unable to locate the credentials. Why? Why like that? Take 2 minutes of your time. Think about it. On what basis this guy is saying that there are no credentials when I have already uploaded the credentials into the system. Okay, participants, I'll help you. Don't worry. So I'm going to run a command called who am I? Participants, what is this username? Root. Now let's go ahead and run a job here. Inside this job, let me just run one small command. I will run a small command and also ask, who are you? Because under root credentials, I have already uploaded the credentials. So let me just go ahead and do a build now. Anyhow, it is failing. Let it fail. Okay. I think it then gave me what I'm looking for. Let me run one more time. This job. This one on top first. This one should be first. I wanted this job to get executed first. Can I move this? Yep. So I want to execute first this command, because this should go ahead and tell me what is that user. I should get the output here. Participants, you see this guy is, who is this guy? Who is this user? What is his username?
Jenkins.
What is our instance username? So under AWS root credentials, the keys are available. But under AWS, under Jenkins, if I'm running, it's under Jenkins URI. It is running on Jenkins user, it is running. That is where here the credentials are available. The credentials are available here in root. But credentials are not available under the user called Jenkins, because we did not have any user called Jenkins. See? Do we have any users called Jenkins? Sudo shift using Jenkins. It will say user not found. Oh, cool. It's available. Now let's go ahead and check AWS configure. See, credentials are not available. That is the reason it was failing. Participants, now you realized under user called Jenkins, even if you type now, who am I? It will tell you that I am Jenkins, user called Jenkins. Who am I? It will tell you I'm Jenkins. But the problem is it didn't have any keys. That is the reason it was failing. So participants, shall we go ahead and put these credentials into this, and shall we go ahead and complete this task? AWS configure. I'm going to give you these credentials, so please wait for a minute. Jenkins, I'm going to give you these credentials now. Where are the credential participants? Under the downloads now. I'll open those credentials. You have to be very careful while entering those credentials. Access key, secret access key, default region, US East -2. What is the output? JSON is the output. Now, under root, we have credentials, as well as under user called Jenkins, we have credentials. Now, let's see the behavior of this system, which includes Jenkins as a user, and after we input the credentials. So let's go ahead and now continue with the run. So I will go ahead and trigger one more time the build after the credentials have been successfully entered. Now, finally, it's a success. and the file is uploaded. And the confirmation for all of you is if you go to S3 bucket and confirm yourself, the file will be uploaded. .730, the file should be uploaded. 7:31, the file is uploaded. Now, participants, now I am able to go ahead and build a pipeline that is very much complete, where I'm able to pull the latest code from my develop branch, build the code with regards to Maven, generate the artifact with regards to var packages, and successfully store them inside the artifact. This is what was expected from the part of implementation. We were successfully able to implement this part. Now, further into the automation involving Packer and Terraform is something that we'll explore in the next part of the session. Are we good for today, participants?
Yes, good.
Participants, yes, please.
Here I have one question. Every time we need to build that inside the Jenkins, or is there any way to schedule that automate? So whenever the new file is get from that bucket, a var package or something.
Yeah, we can do that. Actually, you are doing in the reverse way. It's like whenever there is a new file that is uploaded into it can get a notification saying that you are required to go ahead and give a notification to Jenkins. Jenkins will go ahead and pull the latest code, build the artifact. Yes, we can do this implementation also. This is under webhook. I'll show it for tomorrow. Is that fine?
Okay, Kumar.
Cool. So participants, are we good for today?